Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you so much for being with us again. We appreciate your loyalty, your subscribing to our channel. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, welcome. If you've been with us a while, you know how the structure goes. And if you are new, we encourage you to go to igottaguypodcast.com to see a list of all of our episodes, our past episodes, with a small synopsis of each one of our shows, so you get an idea of who our guests have been and how you might benefit from learning more from our experts in a wide range of industries. As you know, I Got a Guy podcast was born out of reading a book called The Go Giver. It's all about go-giving is all about referral networking. And the key misnomer is that referral networking is all about getting referrals. The reality is it's all about giving referrals. And the more you give referrals, the faster your business will grow. And so I've embraced this book wholeheartedly. If you have not read it, I encourage you to check it out. Bob Burg is the author. It's a great little book. And in the book, there are 5 laws of stratospheric success, all around giving referrals and growing a business. So the one I want to tie our guest to today is the law of authenticity. It's defined by the most valuable gift you have to give is yourself. The most valuable gift you have to give is yourself. And as you get to know our guest, and she is a returning guest, but you get to know her a little bit more, you'll see how that really ties in with her personality and the benefits you'll receive from that. So, and then we'll wrap up the show with a little quick little plug for my day job, which is Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. But right now, let's focus on I Got a Guy podcast. I really like to keep my emphasis on bringing in guests to the show that can promote their business. I'm all about promoting small businesses. I love small business. I think it's not only the cornerstone of our country, but the foundation of our economy. And we all have to do our part to encourage small businesses to grow, help them grow in every chance we get. So this is my way of doing that, and to hopefully our listeners gain some great value from listening to our guests and see how they can benefit them in their own lives. So let us introduce our guest today. We have with us Saadia Abdul. She is a healthcare insurance specialist with Mainline Benefits. Saadia, welcome again to the show. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Mike, thanks. Thank you.
So, Saadia, you've been doing healthcare benefits for a while. And why don't you share a brief synopsis? And Mainline Benefits is new for you. That's a new company you've recently joined. And so, but I want to start out by let's back up a little bit. Talk about your history and how you came to do this and why you're so passionate about helping people with their healthcare benefits. And then let's talk about Mainline Benefits and the transition you made and how that will benefit our guests and maybe some folks that haven't looked at it before.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on again. I appreciate it. And this topic doesn't get stale, so it's good to keep refreshing what I do. So little history on myself. I actually did corporate benefits for over 20 years and retired from that business back in 2018. Having gone through a health journey of my own, I'm a cancer survivor. You realize, you kind of take a step back and look at life a little differently when you go through a health journey like that. And my husband and I decided if my corporate job ever got to be too stressful, where, I was thinking about it too much while I was at home or, not able to be as present for the kids as I wanted to be, that I would walk away. So I made that difficult decision in 2018. When I walked away, I don't want to say I didn't have a plan, but I really didn't have a corporate or job or career move in mind at that time. I just knew that I needed to be more present at home with my kids and my husband. But as time went on, when I was doing that, I felt like I was missing out on something. And when I really sat back and thought about what it was helping people um, understand and help them to use their benefits that were truly theirs. I realized that during those 20 plus years of corporate benefits, that's what I really valued about my time there. Because I think far too often, at least in corporate, people don't really understand what their benefits are, and they don't know what their rights are as an employee of that company, and they don't understand that their benefits are part of their compensation package. I think far too often people think that what they get in their paycheck is it, and that's not the case. So when it came time to finding health insurance for my husband and I and our kids, because my husband's also an independent business owner himself, I thought, I do corporate benefits. I know what I'm doing. This is easy. I'll find a plan for us. When I started doing the research, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And actually, quite frankly, I was floored. I couldn't believe that me, who does corporate benefits, if I was having such a hard time finding a plan that met our needs. And what that entailed was I wanted certain doctors and hospitals in the network. That was my I don't know, thing that was really important to me. I was like, other people got to be struggling with this too. I mean, it can't be, So fast forward, I found a health insurance agent who was able to help me get creative and figure out a way to find a plan that had my doctors and hospital in the network. So after that experience, I decided this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to educate people, help people, advise people. And so that's what I did. I took the next steps. And now it's been almost 5 years that I've been an independent health insurance agent. I help under 65 people as well as Medicare people. So Medicare is typically over 65 and over, but can be people who are under 65 who are totally and permanently disabled. And yeah, so that's how I found myself on this journey. And my most recent change was switching from one health insurance agency to Mainline Benefits. Made that change about 3 or 4 months ago. And the reason for that change, there's a lot of reasons, but I think a couple of them, the main ones was the ability to work with more insurance carriers. So to really be able to serve my clients with more options. That means getting appointed and contracted with different carriers so that I could truly be looking at different options for different scenarios, right? I mean, there's no one size fits all for health insurance. And, a lot of times people will just ask me, well, how much will it cost me? And I'm like, I don't know. Until we set up an appointment, I really don't know. It's very subjective. So anyway, that was one big reason for me making the switch. The other reason was there was several other agents who I'm very that I know really well that made that switch over. So we kind of did it together. So there's a good chunk of us who made this switch over. And it's been good. It's been a good transition. Of course, with any transition, there's a lot of things that have to happen and things that we have to get in place. But the timing of it was really good because we did it earlier in the year during first and second quarter. So now we are going to be all ready for annual enrollment, which is approaching here in just less than 2 months. So that was why I made that change.
Well, that's great. And, you're right. It's a very daunting task to look through and figure out which health insurance plan is right for any one particular family. Mm-hmm. The variables are almost never ending between your health situations, the doctors you'll want to use, the level of coverage, the type of deductibles that you're comfortable with, the premiums you're able to, there's just a million variables there, and it's very, very complicated. So it's not something that if you want to, I mean, people can do it on their own, but you have to invest an awful lot of time in order to really research and have confidence in what you're picking. Because you don't buy, I don't think, I don't think it's wise, I guess, is what I should say. I don't think it's wise to buy health insurance just on the price of the premium.
Correct.
I
You're
think
100% correct.
that's the wrong way to shop for. I mean, you can shop for price on a number of things, but health insurance is not a commodity. There's just far too many variables, and the worst part about it is if you make a mistake and you pick the wrong plan, in most cases you got to wait a whole year to have the opportunity to change that plan, and who knows what health needs you're going to have during that year. So it's really risky to make a quick decision. You have to be really focused and knowledgeable, and I think that's where you come in so much value. And when you do help a client, you don't charge for your services.
Correct.
So you consult with them and you help them, and you've helped our family. My wife recently went on Medicare and been very helpful, and you've helped a lot of referrals that I've sent your direction. It just makes so much sense. And I'm pretty sure every year you see quite a few significant changes in health plans, coverage levels, and new insurance. I think this year there's some new insurance companies coming into play, at least here in Illinois. So
that's correct.
It is a very, very dynamic world, and frankly, I don't know how you keep them straight.
Well, that's why we have our agency. That's why I have Mainline to support us and help us with all these changes. There's some big changes coming up over the next few months. So, yeah.
And is that just for Medicare? The changes coming up, are they for Medicare patient members?
Both.
Or for?
There's some stuff on the under 65 market. So, for example, traditionally, we've had the opportunity to help people with short-term medical coverage for under 65. There's been some recent laws that have been put into place that go into effect. There's one going into effect on September 1st, and then for Illinois, another law going into effect on January 1st. So this does change the landscape more for health insurance. On the Medicare side, there are some big changes coming in for 2025 on the prescription drug side. So yeah, we have to keep on top of all of this. And these are changes that, there'll be a news blip here and there about that stuff. But unless you're like somebody who likes to read about that stuff, it's not going to be in your purview, right? So that's where we come in. And I always tell people, if you're not happy with something or you want to explore it, just ask. I'll tell you whether this is a time we can make a change or not. And if it's not a time we can make a change, I'll tell you when we can make the change. So it's always good just to ask. You just never know.
Knowledge is power. But I do know that, especially now that open enrollment is coming up, there will be a plethora of TV commercials about the different Medicare Advantage plans and other straight Medicare plans, et cetera. But those commercials are so generic that they don't answer any questions, and everyone's specific individual situation is so unique that it's like, even if they did provide details, it wouldn't apply to probably 99% of the people listening and watching the commercial. So you can't just make a decision based on watching a television commercial.
That's right. And you're spot on. First of all, marketing people are in the job because they know, right, how to get people's attention. Right. And we always get these calls. I want what this commercial said. And I said, well, let's take a look. I mean, I don't even know if you're eligible for that. But what do you mean I'm not eligible? They said anybody could get it. I said, well, they didn't really say anybody if you really listen to the commercial. Right. And if you read the fine print that runs at the bottom of the page, of the screen, that you have to read really, really fast. But yeah, so that's correct. The advertising is sometimes misleading.
Yeah. But the reality is there are some really good plans in the marketplace that, and I think the worst thing somebody can do is not take health insurance. I mean, I think everyone really needs to have health insurance. It is so critical. You never know how life is going to, deal you in the next hand and what's going to come up. You went through something at a young age, and we don't know when that's going to happen, and we have to be prepared. But I know people that have gone through and say, well, I'm young, I don't get sick, and I don't need that health insurance. And frankly, I think that's the biggest mistake an adult can make is to uh, avoid the complications of health insurance by just ignoring it. It's foolish.
Yeah, and I wonder. I mean, at least here in this country, everyone has auto insurance. Everyone who owns a home has home insurance. And sometimes I get the pushback, well, that's because we have to have it. And I'm like, okay, yes, there's a little bit of we have to have it, but there's also, you don't really think twice about it. You get your auto and home, and you don't want anything bad to happen. Nobody wants anything bad to happen. But how about without your health, you can't even have that auto and home.
And the reality is, you have to have it for a reason because it's really important. And I'm not a big proponent of government mandates and forcing people to do things, but at the same time, I'm smart enough to know what's really important. And you need. And I actually I had a family member who some time back went a period of time without health insurance, and it was catastrophic because the medical system is very, very expensive. If you have to pay out of pocket, it'll cripple a very well-to-do individual, somebody that's
It's one
not
of the
very
top.
well off.
It's one of the top reasons people go into bankruptcy.
Yeah, yeah. So and I can guarantee everybody that's gone through that situation, like, well, I didn't think it was going to happen to me. Well, of course, you didn't think it was going to happen to you. Nobody thinks it's going to, but you have to be prepared just in case. So I'll get off my soapbox because I don't want to belabor the point. But I really find that it's really critical. In fact, I had a conversation this past weekend with somebody who has spent his whole career in the insurance world, and I mentioned to you before we started recording that I'm going to make an introduction to you because he needs to have health insurance. He's just changing, got a career change, and he's going to need health insurance. And as I mentioned, I'm a big proponent of insurance. I have all types of insurance: business insurance, liability insurance, umbrella policies, life insurance on my entire family, all my family members, and really good health insurance programs, dental insurance, vision insurance, etc. I just think it's important to have. And so I feel, at least if something catastrophic happens in any aspect, I have that coverage, and I'm not going to be saddled with a major liability. So
Yep.
I regularly encourage your services whenever I can.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you recently switched over to mainline benefits, and you said one of the reasons you did that was for more coverage options. Is that like more health insurance companies that you are associated with?
Yeah, so actually on the Medicare side, it's given us a little bit more flexibility to be able to contract with other Medicare insurance carriers.
Okay.
So that's nice. So more options. Because just to give an example, one of the new carriers that we're going to be working with, they have a couple of plan options that are specific for diabetics. And so they functionally do the same thing that all the carriers do, right? They cover your doctor's appointments, your hospital visits, and things like that. But they're doing extra stuff for the diabetics. So whether it's having specialized care or offering a little extra benefits for those people with diabetes. So that's something that we weren't able to contract with those companies before. So, yeah, I mean, without getting into a lot of detail about the agency I was with before, the thing is, a few years ago, they got bought out by a large company. And, whenever that happens, it takes a little time, but eventually, those corporate restrictions start to seep in.
Sure.
And then it becomes even harder to contract with different carriers and things like that. And that's what started to happen. So
Yeah.
now we are able to contract with different providers and offer different options. The other thing is the negotiation with these different companies is easier. with Mainline. We have a little bit more flexibility. When I say negotiation, meaning we're able to negotiate with these carriers to have better pricing for our clients. So that's a very positive for our clients, that we can offer plans that may have lower premiums, may or may not, depends on the product, it depends on the situation and things like that.
Sure.
But just gives that flexibility for contracting. So that's good with Mainline benefits, that I'm able to offer that.
And that's primarily for the 65 and over Medicare program, right?
Oh no, so both, even under 65,
Oh,
on
okay.
the,
Okay.
Other options, ancillary benefits like the accident coverage and critical illness coverage, life insurance, things
Okay.
like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you so in addition to medical insurance, which is, your primary doctors and those specialists, you also offer dental insurance, vision insurance,
Dental,
disability insurance.
vision. Mm-hmm. Yep. Critical illness, accident, disability, life insurance. I'm able to help with all of those things. Long-term care. That's again with Mainline, we have more options under the long-term care umbrella that I didn't have before. So yeah, I'm able to help with all of that. When I consult with my clients, I approach it very consultatively, or advisory. So we don't just look at health insurance. We look at, okay, what happens if that that health event happens? Health is a large part of that, right? Getting better, taking care of your health. But the other piece of it is financial. And, if you're the primary breadwinner of your family and a health event happens to you, and when I say health, it's not just a illness, it's an accident that can happen to anyone, right? You could be doing housework and you trip and fall and break your leg. I mean, there's so many different scenarios, right, that could impact. Now, if you're the breadwinner and a health event happens to you, your financial requirements don't stop. You still have to pay your, home mortgage or rent. You still have your cell phone bill. You still have your utilities. You still have your car payment, grocery. I mean, all those things don't stop because you have a health event.
Right.
But what does stop or may stop because you have a health event might be your income.
Right.
So we need to plan for that. And that's what I help people do. I help people plan for that situation from a financial angle so that you can truly focus on getting better. Because if a health event happens to you and you don't have a plan for those financial requirements, you're now stressed out about your health and you're stressed out about the financial piece. And guess what? If you have both those things, you're not going to be able to recover from your health as quickly as you can, your health event, because you're going to be stressed about both things. How about let's plan for that, and then you can focus on your health to get better so that you can get back to whatever it was you were doing, whatever job that is, or career or business, whatever that looked like. That's what my goal is to help people plan for those events.
Okay. Well, that's really important. And that critical illness accident kind of situation can come up at any time in any situation, and can really catch you off guard if you're not prepared. That's really important.
No, I was going to say I have a client who just recently I helped them out last year. They got a critical illness. The wife retired, so they needed to, but they're not 65 yet. So they needed some insurance to help them bridge the gap. We put a critical illness. Neither of them have ever had any health issues, but felt strongly enough, and they got the critical illness. A few months later, unfortunately, the wife got diagnosed with lung cancer. Luckily, she's fine, but she had to go through a lot of treatments, a lot of surgeries and things like that. And when we met to do their annual review, they had forgotten, actually. And I didn't know. They didn't tell me that she had just gone through this journey over the summer. And I said, wait a minute, you guys have this critical illness policy, $20,000 policy they had. And they were like, oh my God, we forgot. Literally, I sat with them. We downloaded the paperwork to submit the claim. On New Year's Day, January 1st this year, I got a message from them. The check just arrived. Thank you so much. That was life-changing for them. So,
Sure.
this is real. These things
Yeah,
happen,
it really is. And you just never know when it's going to happen. You just have to be prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsor. I want to first have you share your contact information so somebody that does want to investigate this a little further can reach out to you directly. And then when we come back from our break, love to hear some more success stories, as I know you've got a whole plethora of those. And I want people to understand in real terms how you help families with a variety of different scenarios. So but let's start with what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you should they want to get started? Email, phone call, text, what have you.
Yeah, all of the above, actually. So, again, my name is Saadia Abdul. My phone number is 630-306-2797. Text or phone call works. And the good news is that did not change with my change in agency. So my phone number is still the same. My email did change. So my new email address is S as in Sam, A, B as in boy, D as in dog, UL at M as in Mary, L as in Larry, benefits, co.com. So just one more time, S Abdul at mlbenefits.co.com is my email address.
Great. I will put that in the show notes on the screen for our viewers and on the website as well for our anyone that comes to the website to check it out and make sure they can reach out to you. And of course, as I say every week, when you do reach out to Saadia, make sure you let her know that you heard about her here on I Got a Guy podcast. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and then we'll continue chatting with Saadia and I'll have some, here's some interesting success stories. So stay with us. Be right back. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. If your business uses heavy equipment as part of its daily routine, sadly, I don't need to educate you on the reality that this equipment has been the focus of many local thieves either. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles and heavy equipment. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Recovering a stolen asset is just one way we contribute to the bottom line of the business. Our GPS tracking units used in heavy equipment are weather tight so they can handle the elements and even have an internal battery to continue to report its location should the battery in the asset be disconnected. We have several examples of the benefits of GPS tracking in heavy equipment. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions for a detailed discussion about our options and to see if it makes sense for your business. You can find Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. I am Michael Drellichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. I also own Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions, so you just heard that little sponsor from Precise. So appreciate you listening to that as well. But we are chatting today with Saadia Abdul from Mainline Benefits Company and health insurance company, critical illness, all types of insurance options to take care of your life. Saadia, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So we talked before the break all about Mainline Benefits and at a high level, the type of services you provide and how you're able to help individuals and companies with their health insurance needs. And we thought now I'd like to get into a little more specific detail on some of the successes that you've been able to provide. You did just share before the break about a family that forgot they had critical illness coverage, and they were able to take advantage of that. Tell us a little bit more about some of these other successes that you've been able to help families with.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I mean, this has happened a number of times, but it never gets old, I'll tell you. Some of my Medicare clients who are either new to Medicare, or even some of my clients who have been on Medicare, but maybe they were on a Medicare supplement plan, but got tired of paying the monthly premiums that come along with some of these Medicare supplement plans, and reached out to me and just said, I keep seeing this Medicare Advantage, tell me more about it. What is it? And so, eventually helped them make the switch, and they got onto a Medicare Advantage plan, and then they needed surgery. I mean, knee replacement, hip replacement, those kinds of things that happen as we age. And I've had people actually call me and say, I had this surgery and I only got a bill, let's just say, for example, for $250. Is this right? Like, is that all I owe? And I'm like, yeah, why are you surprised? They said, no, but I mean, I had like surgery. I had hip replacement surgery or knee replacement surgery. I said, yeah, remember we went through all your benefits and we talked about what everything would cost. And I'm like, that's your copay for an outpatient surgery. And that example is $250. And they said, no, but I mean, is there going to be another bill coming? Am I going to get, no, no other bill. That's what it is. So these plans do work. There's always buzz, people asking questions. Oh, is it true? Can it be true? And the answer is these plans are real and they do work. Are they perfect? Of course not. What is perfect? Nothing's perfect, right? There's issues with everything, but they are working, and I have people using them. I have people who have heart issues, people with cancer, people with disabilities. They're using the plans and they're working. So that's kind of an ongoing success story I hear often from a lot of my clients. On the under 65 market, that is a market where there's more people willing to take a risk with their health. And what I mean by that, there's more people willing to go without health insurance. They're taking chances. And I've had situations where I don't know if it's because they have somebody close to them who had a health event and they realized, oh, shoot, maybe I need to have some health insurance. But, they found their way to me. We got them in a plan, and then I'll get a call or an email a few months later, and like real story where they said, I just had appendicitis, like out of nowhere. And I said, and aren't you glad? And they said, I owed a couple $1,000, but if I got the bill and it was like $60,000, and I said, right, that's what health insurance does for you, right? Even though a couple $1,000 is a lot of money, that's still way better than a $60,000 bill for that out of nowhere appendicitis, right? So that happens.
I would think that, especially in cases when somebody is confident that they are healthy and don't need health insurance and want to roll the dice, they probably also have no idea how expensive even a fairly minor procedure can cost, let alone a major procedure.
Well, I don't know. I feel like that is in the news enough where people do know how much it could be, but they're willing to take that gamble. There's a lot of people willing to take that gamble. They just don't think anything will happen. They think they're invincible. I'll even extrapolate that out to life insurance. Mm-hmm. People don't see that there's a lot of people who are like, no, I'm good. I don't need it. I'm fine. So
well,
human nature, I suppose.
Yeah. And some people, they may also be, financially strapped, and we're going through some challenging economic times. So, it might be simply that, people can't afford it, so,
or they think they can't.
They think yes,
they can.
That's
they don't know.
Yes. They think they can't afford it because they know health insurance can be expensive. And if they're lucky, and it is luck, if you don't get sick, you don't have an incident, and you don't have insurance, you're fine. But you roll the dice. But meeting with you, and you can understand. You would also I'm sure in your analysis, your profile, you factor in their budget, right? What can they afford, and then you kind of.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
So you kind of weave your way through, and you figure out, well, gee, we can get, even if they're on a limited budget, I can get some coverage. to provide, some protection, and better than no protection.
That's right. That's 100% right. Yep.
So being on a tight budget should not be a reason not to call you, is the bottom line.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's critical. And so when we talk about some of the critical illness scenarios, the things that come to mind are cancer, heart attack. What are the other areas that fall under that critical illness umbrella?
Under the critical illness, it's going to be cancer, heart attack, and stroke. And then, of course, like the ALS, Alzheimer's, those type of things, MLS, those things are going to be under the stroke kind of category. But those are the critical illnesses. And when we say critical illness protection, it varies, right? And back to budget. I mean, you can purchase coverage anywhere from $5,000 all the way up to $100,000 of coverage. So, if your budget is pretty tight, you could still get like a $10,000 or $20,000 policy. And it's not that expensive, right? People make assumptions without doing the research. It's not often that expensive. And by the way, for the listeners, you have to be generally healthy to get approved for this type of coverage. So you can't get diagnosed with one of these things and then purchase this coverage.
Right.
That's important to know, because a lot of people will come to me afterwards and say, can I get this coverage? Well, no, because now you're a higher risk. So, and there are some carriers who may be willing to insure somebody who's had one of these diagnoses like years ago, but let me tell you, the premium's going to be higher for you.
Sure.
So, no, that's, and even dental insurance, I'll put dental insurance, which is pretty straightforward. If all of a sudden you need a root canal, you're not going to be able to get dental insurance after getting that diagnosis that's going to cover a whole lot of that root canal. Because if that was the case, then no one would pay for dental insurance. They would all wait till the tooth hurts and something happens, purchase the insurance for a month, and then drop it. And then the insurance company would no longer be in business because, So it's really important to understand that you can't, I shouldn't say, I don't want to use the word can't, but you should not be seeking this type of coverage after the fact. We got to do this before the fact.
Right. Well, and that's where I would imagine a detailed conversation with you to understand family history could be very valuable. If you have a family history of heart disease, then critical illness coverage for heart attack and stroke might be really, really important. And so I think that's where you have to. The individual has to take, do some soul searching and understand, and, what kind of family history do you have, and make sure that you are being prudent about that before it's too late.
Yep. And I mean, I don't want to say older people shouldn't ask about this type of coverage or inquire, but the younger crowd, the 20-somethings, generally speaking, are probably a bit healthier, less risky. So their premiums are going to be less or lower, and if you can lock in that lower premium, why not? Right? They should lock in that lower premium and be financially prepared. It's another thing that people don't often think about in their 20s, right? They're not thinking about this holistic approach or financial planning for their future, as they should be. I don't feel like our system does a good enough job educating our young people on these things.
Yeah, a lot of people want to, kick the can down the road and not think about it until it's necessary. Just sometimes you run into that chance where it's necessary, but you're too late. The other advantage of subscribing to this insurance when you're younger and you have a smaller premium, now that premium is built into your normal cash flow. So it becomes an automatic thing. And whether the premium's $20 or $200, whatever it is, you just get used to paying it, and you have that safety net behind you. If you
Yep.
wait till
And
you're
it's
later,
also, mm-hmm.
oh, go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and when you do it younger, you're guaranteeing your insurability.
Yes, yeah, that's a big thing. And when my kids were my kids are adopted, so one of the challenges that they have is they don't know their family history.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what kind of things lie in the background. But we put life insurance when they were toddlers. We put life insurance primarily for that insurability factor.
That's right. That's
and
great.
and, I, and that's I've been well advised in the area of insurance from not only yourself but others in the insurance business, and feel like we're well protected, and because you just never know.
Yeah, and you can attest to for your two daughters, the premium is probably like not that bad at all, right? Maybe a couple coffees,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's $30 a month. It's really insignificant, and it just becomes part of the routine. It automatically comes out of the checking account, and it's just done. It's just paid,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so we have that comfort. And God forbid something does change, they have that protection.
Yeah.
So it's just, but the critical illness thing is really important to, if you have that family history and you know what has happened in the past, it's helpful to know and build it into your plan going forward. Now, when
Mm-hmm.
you talk about long term care as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
long
So
term care is a whole nother animal.
it is a whole nother animal. And it's one of those things I often get asked the question, is it worth it to purchase long-term care, or what's the sweet spot? And I guess all the research and you know shows that they say, I mean, again, you don't have to follow these things, but usually late 40s, early 50s is kind of the time to maybe buy in, because if you do it sooner, then you're kind of paying more into it than if you actually end up using it. But it's really a needs based situation and what somebody wants to do. I mean, that's something very unpredictable. Um, I feel like the families who have gone through a long term care situation with a loved one are the ones who definitely look into it more
Yeah.
seriously. Um, it's a hard one. It's a tough one. As an advisor, I never am able to say, yeah, absolutely, you need to get this, because it depends on your situation, your financial situation, your family situation, But we talk about it, and
Yeah.
we talk about options, you know.
Well, and long term care has changed fairly recently. If I
Mm-hmm.
remember this, um, because I looked into it many years ago, probably 20 years ago, and at the time the challenge was, if you had long term care insurance and you didn't use it, that money was lost. And now there's some options, some hybrid plans, I think they call them, where if you
Return of
don't use,
premium. Yep. Hybrid. Yep.
yeah, so you pay a little bit more in your monthly premium, but then if you don't use it, you can get at least some, if not most of that back, and
Correct.
it isn't lost, so to speak. In the case of my parents, neither of them needed long term care. They both passed away pretty rapidly, and they didn't need it. But I had an aunt that was in long term care for several years, and it is very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting more expensive every year. It seems like the rates are going up exponentially.
Yes. But like you started out saying, the insurance carriers continue to try to get more creative,
Mm-hmm.
to offer different solutions, um, because the coverage is so expensive. So it's a double-edged sword, because even purchasing long-term care can be very expensive, that premium, right?
Yes.
So people struggle with that piece of it, and it's the big what if. And then the other I guess, discussion point is then there's a lot of with long-term care when and if the time comes and you actually want to start using that long-term care, you have to meet certain criteria. And that becomes another little challenge. So you need to really know what you're buying, right? You really need to understand what kind of coverage you're purchasing, because a lot of them, say you can't do 5 of the 7 daily living activities. So what if you're at only 4 that you can't do? Now you can't invoke that long-term care policy that you've been paying into. So there's a lot of things you need to understand. I'm actually living and breathing this right now with my own parents who have a long-term care policy they've been paying into for years, and they could use a lot of help, but they don't quite meet all the requirements yet.
Sure.
So.
Well, right. And the other variable, sometimes the long-term care policies, and hopefully yours does as well, include, if you have home health care. So you're in your home, you can't do those 4 or 5 things that are required in order to utilize the benefits, but you don't have to necessarily be in a nursing home to benefit that. You may be able to have nursing care come to your home and help you with those factors.
Well, and that's a great point, because a lot of times it's a family member who's that home health care person. And that family member isn't a professional, right? They're not certified or licensed or whatever, but they should get paid. I mean, they're doing a job, right?
Yeah.
Aside
it's
from
not an easy job.
No, but a lot of these older long-term policies will not pay out to that family member. But some of these insurance companies, again, are getting creative, where they have come out with different products that would actually pay a family member. So those are nice policies, because it's in this country, as you know, we have a lot of different cultures here. Some cultures don't believe in sending a family member to an institution, or a home or whatever it is. They want to keep them at home. But then what ends up happening is the spouse or a kid, a child, not child, but one of the children of that person is the main caretaker. And now, that's a problem too. So there's products now that are getting creative and that would actually pay out to that family members or friend.
Yeah. And the home healthcare field is growing rapidly as well. I have a good friend of mine who owns a couple franchises in that space, and they're growing rapidly because a lot of people, and not even culturally, but some individuals. I have a friend of mine, her and her husband, when they first got married, 60 years ago, they made a pact that they would not send either of them to a nursing home. They were going to do it on their own. And she's been taking care of her husband now for probably 15 plus years. And it's a lot of work. And she's running a business at the same time. So it's a lot of work on her, but she is staying true to her commitment to her husband. And I give her a lot of credit. She's a wonderful woman, and she works her tail off. Having the ability to bring in an outside home health care company to assist, that allows you then to be a family member, not a caretaker. And that's 2 different roles, 2 different hats you have to wear. And it's a difficult job. And but it's just something that I do encourage people to think about when I'm talking about, because I've lived through those experiences in my own family, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so it's just a really important conversation to have.
That's right. Yep.
One question I did want to ask you, we're going to wrap up here pretty quickly here, but a really important question. If somebody does have long-term care insurance today, and maybe they have an older plan, maybe they invoked this plan 6, 8, 10 years ago, is it something that you would consider a switch? Like you switch your health insurance, like you switch your auto insurance, or is this a different animal where you'll lose too much to switch? You know what I'm saying?
It depends. It really depends. We have to look at each individual situation, because it depends how much they're paying. Some of these older policies, the carriers are now starting to make premium changes or adjustments, right? So it does. It really depends on how much they've paid into it, what they were paying for, what type of coverage they were paying for, what their goals are, what their situation is today.
Sure, their health
So yeah, it's
situation,
not
their
a
age.
yeah, yeah. I can't just say, because actually I had my cousin. He actually reached out to me not too long ago. He has an old policy he's been paying into for many, many years. Asked me this exact same question. And when I actually, for his situation, when I went in and looked at his policy, what he's paying for, and all that, I ended up telling him, stay where he was at. Don't change at this point in time. Because the other thing is, remember, those older policies, there was underwriting. So that person qualified. Now, if they have any health events that have happened since then, now what they qualify for today and at what rate and all that stuff could be very different. So it's very subjective.
Yeah. And whatever premium you paid in would essentially be lost, in other words, as well, right?
If you, yeah. Because unless it was a return on premium plan, which probably not,
Yeah, the older ones didn't have that. I think the return on premium has been a relatively new change, maybe in the last 5 years or so.
Yep.
Yeah. So it takes a complicated topic and makes it much more complicated.
Well, that's why it's so important to talk to somebody who's in that field, right?
Yeah.
Who lives and breathes this to help guide you,
right,
and advise you.
Yeah. Well, that's really that's sage advice, Saadia. And I do encourage people to have those conversations and do that soul searching and figure out what they want to do for their future, because there's no one size fits all.
No, and you've been so gracious over the years, Mike, to trust me with your friends and family. Mm-hmm. And there's been situations where sometimes it's just been a phone call. Like somebody's called me that you've referred over to me that they don't have anything happening right at that time. It might be a year out. It might be 8 months out, whatever it is. But we still have a conversation and I'm able to at least ease their mind.
Right.
And they've said to me, well, thank you. I was so worried. This was one of the things, or I've had people say to me, I'm working for the benefits because I didn't know that I had other options. Right. And, people trying to work till they're 65 just for the health insurance, not knowing that maybe there's other options and you don't need to work till you're 65 if that's not really what you want to do.
Right.
So sometimes it's just worth a phone call, and I have no problems just talking away on the phone and help guide somebody along. Doesn't mean they have to sit down with me and actually purchase a plan or anything like that. I have no issues just chatting with somebody to help them ease their stress.
Yeah. Well, and I've appreciated all the guidance that you've helped our friends and family and ourselves out with, because your knowledge is really deep, and you are. As I said before, as I started the show, you're a very authentic person. You just, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and it really comes through in every conversation you have.
Oh, thank you.
So that's very much appreciated, and it's not about making a sale. It's not about anything else. It's about helping people out, and your life experiences make that much more credible, because you've lived through so many different scenarios personally, and you've seen your family members around you live through different scenarios. And now that you've been doing it for so many years, you've also, I think your knowledge base and your, the value grows exponentially because you're helping so many people every year. And, and everyone's situation is so unique. So that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you you joining us. Is there any other stories you want to share with our listeners before we wrap up the show today?
I'm just thinking about like the rest of my day today. I have a couple appointments coming up, and one of the ladies I'm going to be speaking to, I've helped her mother-in-law, her mom and dad, her disabled son, and her husband and her son. and now it's her turn. I sat with her earlier this year to do all that. And I literally told her, I said, what about you? What about you? You're taking care of all these people. She doesn't have health insurance. And, I told her at that time, I'm like, you're doing all this. If something happens to you, what happens to all these people?
Right.
So we're talking in about an hour. I'm going to help her get her coverage for herself so that she can feel good, because actually a health situation has come up for her. And, I told her, I said, Vicki, we should have taken care of this before, but, that's okay. We're going to take care of it now. So,
yeah. Well, and the thing that really I've seen happen in my own family is when you are the primary caregiver for so many, it does wear on you as the caregiver.
mm-hmm.
It is a sizable burden that you carry, and it could really impact your health. And so it's really important that it's almost like on the airplanes when they tell you before you take off, they say if the masks come down,
Yes.
you put your own mask on before you help somebody else. And
Yes.
and that's because if you're helping somebody else and you can't continue, then what good is it? You've got to take care of yourself, and then you can help others around you. And I think the same is true for people, families that want to provide all that care in house within their own four walls. They've got to the primary caregiver has to take care of themselves.
That's right.
So really critical. Well, again, thank you, Saadia. Why don't you share your contact information? What's the best way to reach out to you? Phone number, email address, and we'll get our listeners to reach out to you in droves and fill up your schedule with lots of opportunities.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Mike, for having me. You can reach out to me by email, which is Abdul. So that's SABDUL at mlbenefitsco.com. Or you can give me a call at 630-306-2797. And you can also text me. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
All right. Very good. I'll put that information in the notes and on the screen, and encourage you to reach out to Saadia whenever you have the opportunity. And I'm confident that you will enjoy the conversation as I always do. So, Saadia, thank you so much. I wish you the best. And as you get ready in the next few weeks here for open enrollment, I hope it's a nice, busy season for you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
I'm sure it will be. So as we wrap up today, I'm going to throw in a quick little plug for Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. That's my day job, and that's how we pay for our health insurance.
Yep.
But I wanted to share a couple thoughts really quick. The reality is, everyone's taking videos of everything nowadays. Everyone's on their cell phones taking videos of situations that occur. Well, video is really important in your vehicle as well, and we do a lot with dash cams. And the fastest growing aspect of our business are in the area of dash cams. We install dash cams in trucks and vehicles to record what's going on in front of the vehicle and inside the vehicle. And if an accident were to happen, you have video proof of what actually happened. It doesn't become a he said, she said. It comes down to video evidence of what's really going on. And I recently had an incident where my own vehicle was in an accident. It was parked along the side of the road. Somebody backed into the vehicle. I caught all the footage on camera. The vehicle, the license plate, the make and model, color of the vehicle. And I was able to get the situation resolved because I had the proof of what actually happened. So if you are a business owner and you are curious about what's happening, or if you've experienced some accidents with your drivers, I encourage you, if you don't have dash cams, to give Precise Fleet Tracking a call. Have a conversation. Let's just talk about what we do and how we do it, how it works, and the value that it provides. There's no obligation. Consultation, the conversation is free. Just give me a call, send me an email, and we'll have a conversation about it, and we'll see if it works for you. So I'd encourage you to reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. Our website is precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com, or call us at 847-865-6008. 847-865-6008, and get more information and have a start to a conversation and see how we can provide some value. It's just that simple. So thank you for that. And again, Saadia, thank you so much. Didn't see your cat jump across the screen, but I
Nope.
heard it dingling in the background a little bit. But
Yeah.
Glad you're able to join us today. And to our listeners, thank you again for listening. And I encourage you to reach out to Saadia Abdul with Mainline Benefits. And we will speak with you again next week. So in the meantime, hope you all make it a great week. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.